Hello and welcome once again to The Blueprint. This is Canada's Conservative Podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Schmale, Member of Parliament for Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes, Brock, with new content every single Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We ask that you like, comment, share, and subscribe to this program. This is important information. Eyes and ears need to see and hear this. It's important. And also tell your friends they can download it on platforms like CastBox, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify if they can't watch the show in its entirety right this very second. As we always do for you. We have a great show lined up for you, and I brought back probably the person I think that has the most frequent flyer miles on this program, Larry Brock, Member of Parliament for Brantford Brant. Thank you so much for coming back on.
So happy to be back.
And this
feels like home.
Absolutely. This is home for you, Larry.
Yes.
Well, as always. And of course, we're so far aligned that we even wore purple together.
We did. Without even calling each other.
Without even calling each other. I know. We're just thinking alike.
Just telepathically, we're on that same wave, right?
That's why I think I keep having you on the show.
I think so.
So we are going to talk about something that kind of blew up during the constituency week. Before, or after I should say, the program last week, was that David Johnston, the special rapporteur, says that there is nothing to see here in terms of interference in our elections from Beijing or otherwise. But just trust him because we can't see the document. We'll get into the other stuff about who he consulted, and that's a mess of its own. Is there anything to see here, Larry? David Johnston says no.
There is so much to see here. There are so many hanging threads, the proverbial hanging threads to this particular report. I don't know if you had a chance to review it cover to cover. I have some takeaways that I think are important for our viewers to take note of, notwithstanding everything that we heard from the government, that media reports were largely false as it relates to all the leaks shared by that one brave or many brave employees of our spy agencies who revealed details to our reporters. And notwithstanding that particular narrative, David Johnston confirmed that it was actually truthful, with one exception, and that's in relation to Han Dong and his interference with respect to the two Michaels. But he was permitted to pierce the confidentiality bubble and confirm that that was false, but could not elaborate on anything else because of confidentiality. You can't have it one way and not the other, in my view. And it's really a pattern that I've often seen in committees with respect to what they're prepared to share and what they want to hold back. So again, another miscue by this government, choosing, in my view, someone who established himself, a very credible, respected, learned, not only journalist, but former professor, law dean, of course, our Governor General, someone who's actually been part of previous commissions, again, with no apparent conflict of interest. But why he chose to accept this is really unfathomable. I don't understand, given all of the attention, all of the concerns that CSIS has had with respect to the Trudeau Foundation receiving that $140,000 that was specifically earmarked to go to the foundation, the only contract that was signed by Justin Trudeau's brother, Alexandra, in the 20 years that he's been associated with the foundation. He had to have his own personal stamp on it. If that's not enough to raise the red flag, I don't know. But David Johnston was part of the foundation.
I know.
He was there during the negotiation of that contract. He was there when the foundation received the monies. He was there when it was discovered that they ought not to have received the money. So if that, on the face of it, given his prestigious background, if that was not an obvious conflict of interest, well, I don't know.
Right? What about all the video that's surfacing of David Johnston and Trudeau going on about how close friends they are and family friends? Like, there's the other piece to it.
Yes. Well, we have a family friend, we have a cottage neighbor, we have a ski buddy, We have clearly a close relationship. How many other Canadians do you know that had such a close relationship with not one, but two prime ministers of this country?
Exactly.
Right? So that in of itself is a conflict of interest. But what he did was appropriate. He wanted to get a second opinion.
He did.
Jamie.
He got a second opinion.
Oh,
It's
did he
amazing
get a second
because there's
opinion?
nobody else in Canada to turn to for a second opinion.
Absolutely
nobody
not.
else. So tell us who he went to.
So let's turn to the learned, retired jurist, Frank Iacobucci. As a lawyer, you know I probably read dozens and dozens of his decisions from the Supreme Court of Canada, the highest court in this country. The problem, however, well, he freely wanted to give a legal opinion, and that legal opinion was, by his review, notwithstanding all the evidence to the contrary, there was no conflict of interest, no legal conflict of interest. We have to be careful with the terminology. The problem is that retired justice is sitting on the Trudeau Foundation.
At that. Just had to look across the boardroom
convenient.
table. Yeah.
In a country of 40 million people, of learned, distinguished scholars and jurists, Justin Trudeau and David Johnston could only find those two.
But wait,
Remarkable.
It gets worse. I feel like I'm selling ShamWow or something. But wait, there's more. Who else did he turn to for advice?
He turned to his trusted legal advisor, Sheila Block. Now, I can say with complete honesty, surprisingly, Sheila Block is not a member of the foundation, but she's certainly a donor to the Liberal Party of Canada. In fact, we have gone through her history of political donations, and she's contributed to no other federal party other than the Liberal Party of Canada. Again, it's too close.
It's amazing. On something this important, you would want to put as much distance.
Arm's length.
Right. Like, you want it to be as clean as possible so the Canadians can have trust in this whole situation that's evolving around us. But yet they just went to one board member, another Trudeau Foundation board member. They went to a Liberal donor. Like you said, is there nobody else that they could get advice from?
Precisely. But look at the train wreck that this currently is.
Well,
as I indicated, David Johnston has distinguished himself, and now his closeness to the Trudeau brand and this Trudeau government has tainted him. To the contrary, take a look at all the people close to Trudeau, Justin Trudeau, that have been burned by their relationship with him. Let's talk about the random liberals that he likes to refer to those former members of his party. Let's take a look at Jody Wilson-Raybould, our former Attorney General, our Minister of Justice. Got too close to Justin, and in fact, I don't know if you read her book, Indian Cabinet. She made a quote that I think is quite telling. She wishes she had never met Justin Trudeau. Quite telling. We have former Minister of Health, Jane Philpott, who had the audacity to support a colleague, Jody Wilson-Raybould. She was taken out. She was asked to leave. Then, of course, the last random Liberal, our Finance Minister, Bill Morneau, who completely wanted to take this country in a different direction during the pandemic because he had a concern regarding fiscal responsibility, and we all know how that turned out. So not just cabinet ministers, we got the former Privy Council, Michael Wernick, who went down because of his close relationship in terms of protecting Justin Trudeau, and of course, his lifetime, longtime friend, university buddy, Principal Secretary Gerald Butts.
Yes, him too.
We all know. So anyone, you don't want to be a friend of Justin Trudeau.
No. Well,
if you want to preserve
Cesar Chavin from Whitby.
Right.
Yeah.
So, don't become a friend of this Trudeau.
Or be prepared to burn if you need
this Trudeau government, or be prepared to suffer the consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunate all this happened, but again, there's more. David Johnston goes to sit down with former leader Aaron O'Toole. They sit down, meeting goes, I think, fairly well from what Aaron's perspective was, and halfway through it turns out that the report's already done.
Let's think about that for a moment.
Right?
He received intelligence and confirmed everything that we have been saying in the House, that there was significant foreign interference from Beijing with respect to our 2019 and 2021 campaign. Our 2021 campaign led by our former leader, Aaron O'Toole. David Johnston knew about this going into his review of the massive amount of confidential information. Why on earth would he think it would be entirely appropriate as an afterthought to then meet with the former leader who was complaining during the campaign of the foreign influence? Take a look at our former colleagues in BC. Take a look at our former colleague in Ontario, Bob Soroya, who was contacted weeks before the election and warned by a Beijing operative to look for a new career. And why on earth would that not be part of his review prior to preparing the report?
Well, if you know about it, you have to act on it.
Precisely. He didn't want to report on it, just like he did not want to report on the Trudeau Foundation. As I indicated at the outset, so many hanging threads. We need, as CSIS has said, we need to get to the bottom of this. We need a fresh set of independent eyes to get to the bottom of this. Either Justin Trudeau does this, or we have this NDP motion that's being argued today. Will the NDP finally take a stand and actually represent their constituents and stand for this country and stand for our democracy, or continue to shield the truth from Canadians?
Well, that's the other thing. Now the NDP grows a spine, but only because one of their members, turns out they've been informed, Jenny Kwan from Vancouver, that they're also being targeted by Beijing.
That's right.
So now this wakes up the NDP.
Precisely.
Forget the election interference. Don't worry about that. Forget potential issues with donations.
They're
don't
absolutely hypocrites day in and day out. I call them the Twitter warriors. They fight the good fight on social media. You're in the House every day like I am, Jamie. We hear them constantly criticizing the government for not doing this right, for not doing that right. But yet when it comes to an actual vote that has the potential of a vote of confidence and taking down this most corrupt government that this country has ever seen, they turn a blind eye to it. They can't have it both ways.
Or or vote against Conservatives that are trying to in committee where nobody's watching and no one's paying attention.
I would hope that they telegraph this and have a meeting. I'm hoping that Jagmeet Singh has a meeting with Justin Trudeau to make it abundantly clear that this is either a unanimous or a majority vote in favor of a full independent public inquiry, and he makes that a condition of the coalition, or the coalition falls.
Go to an election after that.
Take us to an election. As our leader has indicated, and I referred to our leader today during my intervention as Canada's next great Prime Minister, he made it abundantly clear in his intervention this morning that either Justin Trudeau calls the fully independent public inquiry, or his first job will be.
Exactly. Let Canadians have a say on this. Because at this point, does Justin Trudeau, does the Liberal Party actually have confidence of the House? I would say hopefully not. If the Liberals vote this down. The other thing is, even if the majority in the House, the Conservatives, Bloc, and NDP, potentially Greens, vote in favor of public inquiry, the government can then, Justin Trudeau can then drag their feet on it, because I believe there's no timeline on that public inquiry that the NDP are calling for.
You're absolutely correct.
So again, it goes to your point that it's all show.
We've got 19 days. 19 days between now, today, and the end of our session before we embark on our summer break. Even if, hypothetically, he convinces Justin Trudeau to call that inquiry, to your point, it could be well past the election before it's called.
Oh, absolutely.
All right? Canadians need to be aware of this.
And Trudeau doesn't want to call it for a whole bunch of reasons. Speculation. I think you and I can have a field day with that. But the evidence is pointing to the fact that it benefited. This interference, this alleged interference, benefited the Liberal Party with up to 9 seats.
We had Beijing operatives in Vancouver who were boasting in 2021 that they were so gleeful and happy that they helped defeat the 2 Conservative candidates, thus preserving a Liberal government. A Liberal minority government is what Beijing wanted.
Yeah, they wanted that.
Because they love seeing,
they
keep in check. They love seeing the infighting, right? But that's their preferred government. Justin Trudeau knew about that. His government knew about that. His public servants knew about that and deliberately hid this from this country. It's disgusting.
Not only that, the public safety minister said that the Chinese police stations, the Beijing-led police stations, Communist Party of China police stations, were closed. Turns out, oops, they're actually still operating.
How many more lies is Justin Trudeau willing to accept from that public safety minister? I've lost track how many times that he has deliberately looked people in the eyes, in the House, at committee, said one thing when the opposite was the truth. It's completely disgusting and incompetence.
I again go back to that same point. I think we need an election. I think it's been long past time for an election.
Yeah.
And we've been trying many times. How many confidence votes have we had in the House
I
for the last?
I can't remember
quite a
how
few,
many.
Right?
Quite a
the
few.
NDP just scuttle it. I'm hoping, like you said, the NDP change their mind, grow a spine. Let's send Justin Trudeau and all Canadians to the polls. Let's have Canadians giving their feedback on this situation.
Canada first.
Yes.
Not Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party.
All right. Final words.
That is my final word.
That is your
Canada first. Not Justin Trudeau and his Liberal Party.
All right, Larry Brock,
Okay.
all right, closes it out once again. Member of Parliament for Brantford Brant. We appreciate his time. It's always great to have him back on the show. It's always great when we dress alike. That's kind of fun, too. And we appreciate your time because we have new content for you every single Tuesday. It comes on 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We ask that you like, comment, share, and subscribe to this program. Please also tell your friends you can download it and listen to it on platforms like CastBox, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. We will be back again next Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, remember, it's low taxes, less government, more freedom. That's the blueprint.